Welcome to week 6 of the course Campus Recruitment Training. This week we'll focus on HR and behavioral interview techniques. Listen to this story. In a bustling city nestled within a growing IT firm named Mind Orbit Solutions, the HR team was preparing for a major recruitment drive. The company had recently bagged a prestigious international project and needed skilled professionals who are not only technically competent but also culturally aligned and emotionally intelligent. The HR manager, a seasoned professional with a knack for reading people, knew that this round of hiring needed to go beyond checking resumes and certifications. On a Monday morning, a candidate named Arjun walked in for the interview. He was applying for a team lead position in product development. His technical test scores were impressive, but Meera was more interested in how he landed real world challenges. She began the behavioral interview with a simple question that often revealed more than it seemed. Tell me about a time you faced a conflict with a team member and how you resolved it. Arjun paused thoughtfully before answering. He spoke about a project where a colleague had repeatedly missed deadlines. Instead of escalating the issue immediately, Arjun chose to have one-on-one conversation during which he discovered that the colleague was dealing with personal challenges. Arjun offered support, redistributed the workload temporarily, and informed his manager with a solution-oriented approach. The project was completed on time, and the colleague later became one of the most dependable members of the team. Meera was impressed but continued with a situational question. If your team was under pressure and about to miss a client deadline, what would you do? Arjun described a strategy where he would first assess the critical blockers, prioritize tasks using Eisenhower matrix, reassign roles based on individual strengths, and keep communication open with the client about possible delays with proposed solutions. Meera noted his calm demeanor and structured thinking. For the final round, Meera used the STAR technique, that is situation, task, action, result, to delve deeper into his leadership experiences. When asked about a failure he learned from, Arjun narrated how he once took on too much responsibility instead of delegating. It led to burnout and mistakes. He explained how that experience taught him the importance of trust and team empowerment. The HR team later gathered to review the candidates. Meera highlighted Arjun's self-awareness, empathy, and adaptability, traits that no written test could capture. He was selected not just for his skills, but for his ability to thrive in a collaborative, high-pressure environment. That hiring cycle became a case study within the company. It marked a shift in recruitment strategy, a focus on behavioral interviewing techniques, emotional intelligence, and culture fit. Meera's approach demonstrated that understanding a candidate's story often revealed more than just their technical abilities. It revealed their potential to lead, adapt, and grow. Let us now look at the STAR method for answering behavioral interview questions. In the middle of a placement season at a leading university, students were buzzing with anticipation and anxiety. Among them was Sneha, a final year management student aiming for a role in HR at a reputed multinational corporation. She had aced the aptitude test and group discussion and now stood before the final frontier, the personal interview. The interviewer smiled and asked, "Tell me about a time you had to manage a team under pressure." Sneha had prepared well. Her mentor had taught her a powerful framework, that is the STAR method, which helped structure responses to behavioral questions. STAR stands for situation, task, action, and result. It helps candidates tell stories in a clear, concise, and compelling way. Sneha began confidently, following the STAR method step by step. Yes, situation. She set the context. During our college's annual business fest, I was selected as the head of the logistics team. A week before the event, we lost two major sponsors due to unforeseen reasons, which threw our budget and planning into chaos. This helped the interviewer understand the setting, where the problem occurred, who was involved, and what was at stake. T stands for task. Sneha now explained her responsibility in that situation. She said, "My task was to ensure that the logistics and infrastructure requirements were still met within a significantly reduced budget without compromising the quality of the event." This part clarified the goal she had to achieve. A stands for action. Here, she detailed the steps she took to solve the problem. She mentioned, "I called an emergency meeting with my team and re-evaluated our expenses. We identified areas where we could reduce costs like switching to local vendors, renegotiating rates, and eliminating non-essential frills." She mentions that she also coordinated with the publicity team to approach local businesses for last-minute sponsorship deals, offering social media shoutouts and event visibility in return. Here the focus was on how Sneha handled the challenge, demonstrating a leadership, negotiation and teamwork. R stands for results. She concluded with the outcome of her actions. She mentioned, as a result, we were able to secure 3 small but helpful sponsorships. We came in 15% under the revised budget. The event went off smoothly with excellent feedback from participants and faculty. I was later recognized by the Student Council for crisis management. This made the answer complete and impact driven. The interviewer nodded appreciatively. Sneha's story wasn't just about overcoming a challenge. It showcased her ability to think critically, act under pressure, and collaborate effectively. All of this was made possible because she used the STAR method to structure a response. After the interview, Sneha shared her experience with her peers, encouraging them to adopt STAR for behavioral questions like, "Tell me about a time you handled conflict." "Describe a moment when you made a mistake and how you dealt with it." "Give an example of how you set and achieved a goal." "Tell me about a time when you had to adapt quickly." The key takeaways from Sneha's stories are: the STAR method allows interviewees to turn vague or nervous answers into coherent narratives. It helps highlight not just what was done, but how and why, showing qualities like leadership, communication, adaptability, and initiative. Using STAR helps avoid rambling and ensures that the answer is focused and professional. For every behavioral interview question, there is a story behind it, and STAR is the structure that gives it life. Let us now look at the real-life examples of the STAR method based on common behavioral interview questions. Each examples illustrate how candidates across different industries and job roles can use the situation, task, action, result format effectively. Example 1. Leadership under pressure. Question. Tell me about a time when you had to lead a team through a difficult situation. Situation, where a candidate can explain, "During my MBA, I was leading a team of 5 for a business strategy competition. 2 days before the presentation, our core team member fell ill and we lost the financial analysis portion of our content." T. Task. As the team lead, my job was to ensure we delivered a compelling presentation without delays or visible gaps. Action. I reassigned tasks based on everyone's strength. I quickly took over the financial section and collaborated overnight with another teammate to rebuild the analysis. I also ensured the rest of the team rehearse their parts and stay motivated. Result, we managed to submit the project on time. Despite the last-minute change, we won second place and received positive feedback from the judges on our team coordination and resilience. Second example, problem solving. Describe a time when you faced a significant technical problem and how you solved it. Situation, while working at my first job. These are all hypothetical situations where you can come up with your own STAR methods. This situation, while working at my first job as a junior software developer, our deployment failed on the day of a major product release due to a memory leak issue. Task, I was assigned to identify the root cause and ensure that we released a hotfix within 24 hours. Action, I analyzed logs and used profiling tools to trace the memory consumption pattern. I found a recursive function that wasn't exiting correctly. Action, I analyzed logs and used profiling tools to trace the memory consumption pattern. I found a recursive function that wasn't exiting correctly. I refactored the code, wrote test cases, and pushed the patch after peer review. Result, the hotfix was deployed successfully within the deadline. The issue was resolved without customer complaints, and I was appreciated during the weekly review for my quick and precise response. Third example, customer service. Question. Give an example of a time you dealt with a difficult customer. Situation. While working as a floor executive at a large clothing retailer, a customer came in extremely upset over a defective jacket and was yelling in front of other shoppers. Task. I needed to de-escalate the situation and turn the experience into a positive one. Action. I calmly listened to the customer without interrupting, empathized with their frustration, and offered an immediate replacement along with a 10% discount on their next purchase. I also checked the badge to ensure that there were no other defects. Result, the customer left satisfied, thanked me personally, and later returned with positive feedback. My manager cited the incident during our customer service training as a model example. Fourth example, time management. Tell me about a time you had to juggle multiple priorities. Situation: during my final semester, I had to complete my internship report, study for exams, and organize a cultural event, all within the same 2 weeks. Task: my goal was to complete all three responsibilities effectively without compromising on quality. Action: I created a daily time block schedule, assigned fixed hours for each task, and delegated parts of the event coordination to a trusted sub-team. I also communicated openly with my professor and mentor to manage expectations. Result: I submitted my report 2 days before the deadline, scored well in my exams, and the cultural event was a major success with over 500 attendees. Fifth example: conflict resolution. Can you give an example of how you resolved a conflict at work? Situation: in a group project during my internship, two team members had a disagreement over the design direction of a marketing campaign, which stalled progress. Task: as a project coordinator, I had to resolve the conflict and get the team moving forward. Action: I arranged a meeting to let each member express their point of view. I facilitated the discussion, found common ground, and proposed a hybrid strategy that incorporated elements from both approaches. I also clarified roles and responsibilities moving forward. Result: the team realigned and completed the campaign ahead of schedule. The client appreciated the creative design, and both team members later said they felt heard and respected. These examples demonstrate that with the STAR method, clear structure, relevant detail, and measurable outcomes make your response impactful. Let us now look at the detailed case studies that illustrate the STAR method, that is, the situation, task, action, result, applied in real-world behavioral interview contexts across different domains such as IT, HR, sales, education, and management. Each case study presents a scenario, the candidate's response using STAR, and the final outcome of the interview process. First case study: IT industry, technical troubleshooting under pressure. Candidate Rahul, a software engineer applying for DevOps engineer role. The interview question was, tell us about a time when you had to troubleshoot a high-impact technical issue under tight deadlines. Situation explained by the candidate: while working at the mid-sized IT services firm, Rahul was part of the release team for a fintech application. A production outage occurred during a late-night release, affecting thousands of users. Task: Rahul's responsibility was to identify and resolve the deployment issue before business hours resumed. Action: he quickly rolled back the last update, checked server logs, and collaborated with developers to identify a broken API integration. He patched the issue, ran regression tests, and redeployed the fix within hours. Result: the system was restored by 6 a.m. The client expressed appreciation for the quick turnaround, and Rahul was later promoted to lead the release management team. Outcome: the interviewer praised Rahul's structured response and offered him the role for his problem-solving and collaborative mindset. Second case study: HR industry, conflict resolution in a diverse workplace. Candidate Anjali applying for an HR executive position at a multinational firm. Interview question: describe a time when you had to handle a conflict between employees. Situation: at a previous workplace, two senior team members from different cultural backgrounds were frequently clashing during team meetings, which affected team morale. Task: Anjali was tasked with resolving the conflict while ensuring both individuals felt respected and heard. Action: she organized a private mediation session, facilitated open dialogue, and highlighted how their roles were complementary. She followed it up with diversity training and introduced weekly team huddles for smoother communication. Result: the team members started collaborating more effectively and overall team productivity improved by 25%. HR management commended her for fostering inclusivity and leadership. Outcome: Anjali's application stood out because of her ability to handle sensitive interpersonal issues. She was offered the position. Third case study: sales and marketing, achieving targets in a declining market. Candidate Kunal applying for a sales manager position at a consumer electronics company. Interview question: tell me about a time when you achieved your target despite a tough market. Situation: during a regional economic slump, Kunal's team was under pressure to meet quarterly targets for smart TV sales. Task: Kunal was expected to achieve 90% of the set sales quota despite declining customer footfall. Action: he analyzed local data, identified high-performing store clusters, redesigned the incentive plan, and launched a referral program that rewarded existing customers for bringing in new buyers. Result: the team achieved 102% of the quarterly target. His referral program was adopted nationally. Outcome: the interviewer was impressed by Kunal's strategic approach and creativity, leading to a final round offer. Fourth case study, education sector, leading a digital learning transition. Candidate Priya, a high school teacher applying for an edtech company's learning consultant role. Interview question, give an example of when you had to adapt quickly to a major change. Situation, during the COVID-19 pandemic, her school suddenly shifted to online learning. Many teachers and students were unfamiliar with virtual tools. Task, Priya had to train a department and ensure students continued learning effectively.